Willamette Radio Workshop.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sam A. Mowry. I'm the director of the Willamette Radio Workshop. Welcome to McMenamins Kennedy School Halloween Extravaganza. I believe this is our 14th year here, celebrating our favorite holiday. The holiday that is made for audio drama or radio drama from the days of Orson Welles and the War of the Worlds broadcast. Tonight we bring you an original adaptation from the master Edgar Allan Poe by Portland's own master William S. Gregory. This evening's program is entitled The Tales of Edgar Allan Poe Ho Ho. Without further ado, Holiday Spirits, based on the cast of Amontillado.
And he said, let's run and we'll have some fun, now before I melt away.
Down here, Alan.
Oh, Sloshy the snowman. There you are, Edward. I changed the words. They fit better.
Be careful on the stairs.
Oh, I'm fine, just fine. Was that important?
No. The world is too full of stupid crystal.
What a place you've got down here.
And stone walls are 4 feet thick. They're constructed of hand-carved blocks from the Dordogne region of France.
Oh, France. That's where Amy wants to go for our 15th anniversary.
The workers were here for almost a year. They were master craftsmen.
You had French guys in your house for almost a year?
When you can afford perfection, settling for less is simply a form of self-hatred.
That's true.
These stones are identical to the walls in some of the greatest wine cellars in the world.
So impressive.
Now, did your wife get home safely?
Oh, that's right. I told her to take the car and not wait up for me, just like you said.
Good. You'll want time to enjoy this.
Oh, I will. You really are a great guy.
Oh, please, don't mention it.
I mean, a lot of guys, considering what happened, they wouldn't take it so well.
The walls are 4 feet thick and nearly airtight.
There could be hard feelings.
You couldn't slip a razor blade between the stones.
They don't have any sort of, well, you know, letting bygones be bygones.
The vaults are curved for optimal airflow around the bottles.
If some guy gets the short end of the stick, well, it just happens in life. It's natural.
And now look there at that arch.
At the wall.
It looks like a wall, yes. But when I push this little recess in the stonework, door opens.
Well, look at that.
It's an extra security measure. Criminals can't break into a room they don't know exists.
What do you mean?
This isn't on any of the plans of the house. There are no records, no blueprints. And the workers who built it for me are half a world away.
Oh, sneaky.
And I thought that might appeal to you. You come down this way.
More stairs.
Just one more flight down.
It's thirsty work.
All the more reason for you to enjoy our treasure, the Amontillado.
When you told me you had one, I couldn't believe it. You know, it's my very favorite.
I know. You've said so once.
I did. When was that?
One evening when we were over at your place.
That's right, I remember.
Certainly.
Wow. You can't even hear the party anymore.
3 stories below ground in the sub-cellar's sub-cellar.
It's a huge event. Half of the community must be here.
Well, it's nice to have a big party around the holidays.
Amy didn't want to come at first, not after. Well, she didn't. But when it turned out practically everyone we knew was going to be here, well, we couldn't stay home, could we?
No, you couldn't.
Won't they miss you upstairs?
No, they won't even notice I'm gone.
Oh, but but you're the host.
Everyone will simply think I'm in a different room at the moment.
But the refreshments.
The servers, the bartenders, the guests, they all have everything they need. The host in a big party is practically invisible. Everyone believes he's there, whether they can see him or not. So they presume that he's there, whether they can see him or not.
I guess you're right.
I've thought about it a great deal.
And then, when you mentioned the Amontillado, well...
Indeed, well. I thought that would be the case. Amontillado.
After all, holidays are the time for forgiveness. At least that's what all the ads say.
And here we are. This level is smaller, but I like to think, in its way, just as impressive.
What are those glass doors set in the walls?
Oh, those are preserving chambers.
Like a panic room?
Well, you've heard that taking the air out of open bottles and recapping them filled with CO2?
Oh, yes. The wine oxidizes more slowly without air.
Well, some evidence exists that the bottles themselves derive benefit from being stored in an oxygen-free environment.
So these little vaults are like refrigerators, but they keep the bottles airless, not cold, and you built them right into the vaults.
Yeah, close the door, flip the switch, and the vault could be airless in 5 minutes.
Does it work?
It's time we found out.
Is that little beauty on the table what I think it is?
Oh, step in and find out. Oh, by the way, did you say you had that new Quadtech phone?
Oh, yep. The latest model.
Can I take a look at it? I've been dying to see it.
Sure, here. Just press the home button to start it.
Thank you.
Ah, you little vixen. What? Sand? The Amontillado, the bottle is filled with sand.
I'm afraid so. Not even I can afford a real one.
What are you doing?
I would think that's pretty obvious.
Edward, what's going on?
Yeah, pardon me, I need to open this crate.
Let me out.
Now, let's see. Stone blocks, mortar, hand trowel. Yes, I have everything I need.
You can't keep me in here.
In you went, and in you'll stay.
Edward, look at me.
The first stone placed so.
This is all some kind of joke, isn't it?
Little mortar on the end.
I'm laughing. Yeah, I really am. I'm laughing.
Now the next stone.
It's very funny.
More mortar.
You really know how to bring the fear.
Next stone.
I'll admit it, you're a great actor.
More mortar.
You made your point.
Stone.
You can stop now.
Mortar.
This isn't really happening.
Next layer.
Please, Edward, I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter.
You said I'm sorry.
What you did was unforgivable.
Good God.
And I will never forgive you.
Edward,
And I will never forget for the rest of my life.
I don't...
And now, neither will you.
You won't get away with this. Everyone knows I was here.
Oh, but they don't know you're still here. You walked out of my Christmas party last night, and no one has seen you since.
Amy will call the police.
You sleep in separate rooms. She won't even know you're missing until tomorrow morning or afternoon.
How do you know?
Ever since you destroyed my life, I've studied yours very carefully.
I didn't destroy your life.
I think I'm the best judge of that.
I didn't.
You know what you did, but you don't know what it did to me. The humiliation, the shame.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you are a sorry excuse for a human being. Yes.
I am truly sorry.
Yes. Yes, now that your life is on the line, now you're sorry. But you see, what you don't seem to understand yet is that your life is not on the line. In fact, your life fell off the line back then, when you made the choice. That was when your life was on the line, and you chose to act as you did.
Help!
And now I have chosen.
Help! Help me, somebody, help! Get me out of here! Help! Help, for God's sake, help!
Delicious. Thank you, that was even better than I had expected.
Help! Help me! Please! Help me!
They won't hear you. No one will hear you. The party is going full blast. You're in a vault, in a sub-cellar, in a sub-cellar.
God.
And now you're going to die. But not too quickly. Slowly. So slowly. Starvation, dehydration. You could last for days. But you probably won't. The lack of water will take you sooner than that.
Please. Edward!
I thought about leaving you a few real bottles of wine. That would be too cruel, even for me.
Please.
And when the last stone is fit into place and the water dries, no one will ever know that there was a vault behind the wall. Even if they do find this second sub-cellar, which in itself is unlikely, you will be forgotten, lost, missing, never to be recovered. Like my happiness, like my pride, like everything you took from me. I'm putting in the last stone now. I am the last person you will ever speak to. This is the last thing you will ever hear. Merry Christmas. Now we bring you Christmas at the Ushers, based on the fall of the House of Usher.
I take up pen and ink with little hope of positive result, but since you are so good-hearted and so insistent, I will attempt in this letter to piece together a coherent record of the incidents at Usher, for your sake, if not my own.
David Roderick Usher, Christmas Eve, 1880. Madeline's condition generally worsens, which concerns me greatly.
Dear diary, I don't know how long I can go on with Roderick this way. The way he looks at me now, even in the holiday season, seems to show a strange light in his eyes.
The desperate tone of Madeline Usher's recent letters alarmed me, and it was certain she needed to escape her situation. So it was with no little curiosity that I responded in the affirmative to her invitation to spend the Christmas season at home. At the home she shared with her brother.
As Christmas time approaches, Madeline's vitality becomes almost ethereal. But if anything, this causes her to become more forceful, with a manic intensity in her talk, which ill fits her surroundings.
I could only imagine what Christina will say when she finally views this dreadful place, wherein every time I think I have become inured to the rot, some new excrescence appears.
At first sight, the house was imposing, if not outright startling, with great red-tinged storm clouds swirling behind it, and I felt at once all my foreboding justified as the mansion loomed up out of the dreary countryside like a gigantic beast alone on a muddy plain, waiting to devour prey.
The other night, as I listened to the approaching storm, I saw Madeline wandering alone through the house in only her nightgown, which enabled me to see her shape clearly, her throat, her breasts, the curves of her thighs, and it moved me that she seemed so pitiful and exposed.
Roderick hasn't left the house in years. And though he talks of repairs, and I hear banging in the walls, I never observe any workmen. And when a crack appears, Roderick covers it with a picture, or pushes a great oak chair in front of the wall, or tries to hide it with one of those tapestries which now flap in the rising wind.
Close beside the monstrous house, adding to my unease in a general far from festive air, is a brackish lake whose dark waters seem to have no life.
If only Madeline controlled herself with some modicum of reliability, then I would not fear this sinking feeling which fills my throat whenever she touches me.
Roderick's eyes have become black in the last few days. And when I look into them, in the waning light, I feel I am pulled towards them, drowning in the darkness. Christina! Christina, you've gone!
Of course, and not a moment too soon.
What are you talking about?
We have to get out of here.
To leave Usher? To leave Roderick?
Do you know your drive is impassable?
Yes, Roderick said something about it.
Just out of sight of your front gate, there's a huge tree down right across the road. There was no way around it, and it was getting dark, so I had the coachman leave my things, and I walked up to the house. It must be miles, but don't worry. We can walk into the village and stay at the inn until the train comes tomorrow.
Oh, don't worry about your bags.
Oh, I'm not worried about the bags.
Roderick will fetch them tomorrow.
Madeline, you must come away with me.
Oh, it's not that simple.
You're practically a prisoner here.
One man's prison is another man's fortress.
Roderick, you startled me.
I hope not.
Christina, my brother, Roderick Usher.
Mr. Usher.
Roderick, my dear friend Christina Butler.
Welcome, Miss Butler.
Now we shall all be great friends.
Thank you for joining us at the holidays.
I am afraid I cannot stay for the holidays.
Oh, no?
It is imperative that I return to town tonight.
Tonight? I see.
Madeline will accompany me.
Madeline, you told me nothing of this.
Well, Christina is so dynamic.
I fear tonight is quite out of the question.
I think not, Mr. Usher.
I will gladly take you to the train station tomorrow.
I would prefer this evening, Mr. Usher.
No, Christina. No.
Madeline.
I can't be ready that soon.
Of course you can.
I will need to pack, to arrange things.
This is urgent.
Roderick will take us tomorrow.
Of course I will, dearest.
There, you see, it's all settled.
Miss Butler, I applaud your suggestion.
Do you, Mr. Usher?
Madeline should get out and enjoy herself.
Thank you, Roderick.
He was a strange man, with a wild yet attractive cast to his features, which suggested both a captivating brutality of strength and a sensuality of almost obscene delicacy.
As I looked at this young woman, so normal, so healthy, so uncorrupted, I wondered what she must think of us with our weird, decaying walls and lichen-spattered rooms, both perplexing and offensive to the eye.
What hope she gave me in my misery and doubtful wanderings. As I tried to understand the mysterious movements taking place around me, and most unsettling within me these latter nights.
As they stood together in the darkening hall, their thin hands crept together and clasped each other without conscious volition on the part of either brother or sister, but under the control of a deep force in their mutual lives. A force which forges a gesture which would seem innocent in children, but these two were far from childhood, and I began to fear far from innocence.
Come, let me show you to your room upstairs. You'll want to rest after your journey.
As Madeline, frail and nervous, escorted me through the moldering halls of the labyrinthian house of Usher, I discovered that the horrendous manse was as diseased within as it appeared to be without.
Leaving Christina in her room to rest and dress for dinner, I returned to my own room, weighed down by the heavy realization But the nervous shock of her arrival, even though expected, had unbalanced me in such an extent that my heart pattered and my imagination whirled, and my breath came in short gasps, like that of a terrified animal.
The women, both looking pretty but somehow strained, came down before dinner and joined me in the great library, where in the flickering light of the fire, flaring between the two carved stone gargoyles which flanked the fireplace, I saw that although Madeline appeared even more distraught than usual, Christine maintained a determined presence.
After a drink in the great library, we proceeded into the shadowy vastness of the Gothic dining room, where, despite the gargantuan size of the table, which easily sat 100 persons, and the numerical smallness of our party, we managed pleasant, if strained, conversation until near the end of the meal.
Madeline had just laid down her knife and fork when, with a horrid awareness, I realized an all too familiar look came over her features. As her entire body began to shake, her eyes rolled back until only the white showed, and her thick tongue gave weird, incomprehensible speech.
Feel it all, and observe the complete dispassion, as though the shaking and moaning were happening to some other person, not myself.
Madeline, what's happening?
Do not worry, she has these attacks.
Madeline, can you hear me?
Please, I know what to do.
My God, help
The
her!
entire family is
No, she needs a doctor.
No.
This is
It
Madeline.
is in the blood. No doctor can help her.
She needs treatment.
Yes, I know exactly the remedy she requires. You see, the fit passes.
Madeline, can you hear
The
me?
next stage is exhaustion.
Her pulse is still strong.
Hold the door. I will carry her to her room.
The intimate tenderness with which Roderick Usher swept the unresponsive body of his prone sister into his arms fascinated and disturbed me as I watched him carry her from the shadowy dining room, up the towering ebony staircase, down the twisting corridors, and at last, with almost an animal sigh of physical satisfaction, lay her helpless form upon the yielding pillows of her bed. Back in my room, I was unable to sleep as the hours crept by and my distracted mind repeated over and over the things I had seen in this monstrous house, until at last I knew it was imperative that I must remove Madeline from this hellish situation at once.
Madeline's latest attack convinced me that there was no longer any time to delay the working out of my solution to the horrible condition which afflicted both of us, and whose cure would be impossible were Madeline to be removed from my loving care by silly fools, no matter how well-intentioned they thought themselves.
After one of my violent attacks, I fall into what seems to the outside observer to be a deep and almost death-like sleep, while in fact, I remain perfectly aware of my surroundings. Indeed, my senses of smell, touch, and hearing become heightened to an abnormal degree, although I am incapable of speech or motion.
As an old clock somewhere in the moldering house struck 3 on Christmas morning, my nerves could stand the tension and inaction no longer, so I slipped from atop my bed, having never undressed from the evening before, and made my way along the crepuscular corridor to Madeline's room, where I was horrified to discover it was empty.
I was again in the library after my long hours of work, gasping and careworn as I tried to steady myself against the fireplace and receive some sort of vitality from the dying embers which glowed scarlet in the mound of ash, when I heard running feet in the upper corridor, and I knew our guest would soon be upon me.
Darkness. Cool. Hard. Silence. Dripping. Liquid. Chilling. All around me.
her.
Where are you keeping her?
God is keeping her.
I do not understand.
God is jealous of our perfect love.
What are you saying?
A jealous, vengeful God kept her soul from me, and now keeps her body too.
What are you talking
I
about?
thought it would cure her. The coolness of the vaults, the constraint of the crypt would calm her madness, but I was wrong. So wrong. Now she's locked away from me forever.
You locked her alive in the family vaults? Oh my God!
She is mine, I tell you.
Well, what if she wakes up?
Mine in heart and soul.
What if she has another
No
seizure?
god or demon can take her from me.
We must get her out of there! Madeline stood in the doorway, her body wrapped in a gray shroud, her fingernails torn and bloody from clawing her way out of her entombment, her hair whipping in the wind, screaming in through the gigantic hole, cracking in the stone wall of the house.
Madeline was soaking wet from the water which must have flooded from the tarn into the family vaults, even as she struggled to escape, and even now could be heard roaring into the rotting basement of the house.
You cannot hide me away!
Like a tortured specter of doom, Madeline threw herself across the room and enveloped Roderick in a festering embrace.
Choking in Madeline's dripping grave clothes, I felt the gargantuan rumble beneath us as the dark flood started to split open the foundations of the house.
We will go down together!
Windows exploded, beams and plaster fell around us. The very stones of the walls screamed in death agony as the ancient edifice collapsed. And I knew I could not help them. Madeline and Roderick were too entangled in each other to escape the wreck of that calamitous house.
Save yourself, Miss Butler!
Get out of the house!
Get out of the house!
Get out of the house!
Get out of the house! Get out of the house! Was all I could think of as I ran towards the front door, dodging all the masonry and timbering in my wild flight towards the storm-filled open air which promised, if not safety, at least escape from the crushing maelstrom which seemed to suck the house and its inhabitants into a watery madness. The wind battered my ears, and the rain streamed down my face as I staggered away from the doomed abode. When with a groaning boom, greater than any thunder, the entire monstrous building shuddered and cracked in on itself, sinking into the swirling, vengeful waters of the black tar. Then, like a dream flying with the night, the storm abated, the rain ceased, and I stood alone under the graying sky of Christmas morning. And from the nearby church tower, I heard nothing to say. Nothing you dismay.
Now we present Cinnamon Cuddles, an inspired take on the Black Cat.
Oh, Ollin, he's adorable. A little tortoise-shell kitten, just what I've always wanted.
I watch my sickly wife as she sits in the wheelchair and plays with the kitten, lifting him out of his Christmas paper wrapped box.
Look, he's got a little red bow on him.
I hoped you'd like him, Tabby. You've been so sick lately.
Oh, he likes me. Look how he licks my hand.
Sure he does. Everybody likes you. Beyond the old wheelchair, I see my lovely Agatha steal into the room.
What adorable green eyes he has. Yes, you do.
Picking her way with careful steps, Agatha creeps up behind my wife. The golf club flashes as she raises it high above Tabby's head.
Aren't you just the cutest little thing? Oh, aren't you just? I think I'm going to name you Cinnamon Cuddles.
Agatha brings the golf club down with a horrendous crunch.
There! It's done.
God, I'm shaking.
I told you I'd take care of it.
Wonderful, darling.
Now, pull yourself together.
I know. We have to place the body.
Remember what you're going to say to the police.
I'm sorry, officer. It's horrible. She always loved Christmas. The sight of the tree, all the presents, must have overexcited her. She tried to stand out of the chair, but before I could get to her, she twisted and fell on the brick on the edge of the fireplace. I still can't believe it.
Oh, you'll be the perfect grieving widower.
And you'll be the perfect family of friends, seeing me through my grief.
Now, I'll move the body.
What is it?
Oh, that little rat slashed me.
What, the kitten?
It's deep, too. Oh.
Here, don't bleed on the body.
I know.
Move away, get that cleaned up.
Oh, it really hurt.
Go wash off in the bathroom.
Where'd that rat go?
Doesn't matter.
I'm going to smack it into the next week.
Get cleaned up and hurry back. I'll move the body myself.
In the bathroom, to look at the gouge. Oh, it's deep. Oh, and when I wash away the blood, I see all the way to the bone. Oh, it's you little rat. I should drown you right now. Oh, the kitten claws my leg. I stumble forward and soapy water splashes into my eyes. Now I can't see it. Oh, the burning pain. You, where are you? Now get out here.
Agatha! What's going on in there?
I'll kill it.
Don't!
No, I will.
No! Let me in!
You little hell beast.
Agatha, wait!
Oh, there you are.
Agatha, just leave it.
You think you're safe up on top of that room covered with the towels?
We need to call 911 to start our story.
You don't think I can move this chair
Oh, what are you
over
doing?
like this and stand on it?
Don't get up there.
Yes, and reach up to wring your neck like...
It happens in a moment. Agatha reaches up, standing on her toes, and tries to get the kitten. Suddenly, it launches itself right in her face. Losing her balance, Agatha falls backwards, flailing, grabbing at the shower curtains, sending things flying until the back of her skull hits the edge of the tub with a horrible right thud. Oh, God. Agatha. You did this. You did this to her. I'll get you. Hey, where are you going? Come back here. Don't run away from me. The kitten scoots down the hall. I run after it, maddened. Back in the living room, it streaks toward the shining Christmas tree. Groping for a weapon, my hand falls on the cold golf club. I see you back there. I see you huddled in the corner. That's all you like. I raise the golf club and smash it down, shattering the power strip that holds the cords for the tree lights and motorized train set. Naked wires gleam under the smashed cords and electrical sparks pop and hiss. The kitten leaps away from the tree, crouches under a nearby table. Now you're running, now you're scared. I stagger after it, reaching the table, I sway for a moment, then I smash the golf club down on the heavy birch top. I'll get you! The kitten crouches under the jutting wooden fragments. A crackling noise starts behind me. With a yowl, the kitten leaps up and runs between my feet. I whirl around just in time to see the entire Christmas tree explode in a roaring inferno. The whole tree blazes like a maniacal pyramid of fire. Tinsel shrivel, ornaments twist and explode with the heat. Melt in blackened puddles. Greasy, acrid smoke boils along the low ceiling, filling the air with choking haze. The kitten leaps at me. I stumble back, losing my balance and fall. Almost slowly, so slowly. I seem to feel it, inch by inch, as the weight of my body drives the shattered point of a table leg through my back, my spine, my body. I watch as the white point slowly emerges from my chest. The birchwood striped candy cane red with my blood. And as I lie on the floor, hidden, dying in the blazing room, just a few feet from my dead wife, I hear, under the roar of the fire, under the scream of alarms, under the splash of my blood pumping out, under it all, a still, small voice. I hear the soft, contented purr of cinnamon cuddles.
Now the heart of the season, inspired by the telltale heart.
Bang! 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 There! Free at last, Uncle! Free from you forever! Oh, it doesn't matter. Ignore it. I'll go away.
Good.
Princess Mouse looked out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and deep.
Carolers! Oh, that's right, it's Christmas Eve.
When a postman came inside, gathering winter fuel.
I'd forgotten too many other things on my mind, right, Uncle?
Give the page and stand by me, if thou know it telling. Yonder peasant, who is he? Where and what is dwelling?
Just be calm, they'll go in a moment.
The mountain, right against the forest fence, by St. Agnes fountain.
Oh, there, they're done.
Bring me flesh and red wine, bring me eyeballs hither, thou art proud to see him dine, when we fair.
All right, just wait it out.
Forth they went together.
Oh, it has to be done sometime. I can't go on forever.
Silent night is darker now, and the wind blows stronger. Fills my
What
heart
if it does, though?
I can go no longer.
What if they don't go away?
Steps from my page, tread down in the cold.
Oh, God, what if they want to come in?
Winter's late, freeze like the last cold.
Don't panic. Don't panic, don't panic. Just put Uncle in the cupboard for a moment, just in case. Oh, I've got to get that door fixed. In you go, Uncle. Stay there. Oliver! Knock, knock!
Merry Christmas, neighbors!
Let us in, Oliver!
Oh, that was great. Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas. Good night. Oh, it's cold down those steps. Have you seen Bobby?
Feels good to get inside. Who's Bobby?
Fine, come in, warm yourself. I'm sure you'll have plenty of places still to go.
Hands, warm heart. Do you have any
I thought he
lunch?
was coming with us, so punch would be great. I don't want to keep you from spreading Christmas cheer. Why don't you go ahead
No,
and
that's an
go?
old wives' tale, like healthy dogs have cold noses. Who else are we meeting?
What was that you said about Bobby? Or something like hot cider. Hot cider would be
Yeah, it's been great seeing you. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. The Andersons and the Radamanthys.
Oh.
Well, I thought Elfie dogs had cold noses.
Oh, you mean Frank and Greg's boy. Cider can be too sweet. What about some hot
What are you waiting for? There's nothing to see here, no reason to stay. Go on.
Some dogs do and some dogs don't. And you part of the drama boy?
Yes, I love that stuff. The Andersons have a wolfhound with a warm nose and always seems maybe you're waiting for Uncle to come down. Well, Uncle isn't coming down. Uncle isn't ever coming down again.
And then there's Joe and Clay. Oh, if cider's all there is, it's good for the throat.
It's wet noses. Wet or dry noses. That's what matters. Hot cocoa with marshmallows is the best.
He's gone away. Yes, I know it's surprising. I was surprised too, but he told me he'd give a call when he settled in. I'll let him know when I hear from him. The littlest. You know, the Radamanthys don't have indoor pets. I think Cedar's allergic. He's not coming down, so you
It's
can
Bobby.
go on.
Bobby's the name of the little drummer boy. And you know, I just saw Greg at Parrot Night, and he said they were all...
You know, it's funny. I always think about him at Christmas time. Uncle had this little face piece that he liked to wear at the holidays. That is, he'd look me over his half mask and it would make his nose look like the nose of a reindeer. A dull red nose, the film over it. And he'd laugh and I'd laugh and it was a little joke. But then time went on and he'd do it again and again and again and again. But he'd look at me with that horrible nose, all dull red with a hideous veil over it, chilling the very marrow of my bones!
It's probably dandruff. That's what's in people's allergies, the dandruff. Mowry was going to bring his piccolo, wasn't he?
It's wet, cold noses mean good health for dogs. Yeah, wet and cold. That's what I hear. You always put a little rum in hot cocoa.
And hot cider is an antiseptic. The spices kill the germs. The Andersons don't drink at all anymore, not after Phyllis's accident.
It's coming from.
Bobby Drummer's a good kid. He shoveled our walk last week. Do you like large marshmallows or small
From the
ones?
cupboard. Well, wrong's healthy too. We used it to sterilize wounds in the Civil War. And I like. Don't you hear it getting louder?
Cena was telling me the kids have an aquarium and get different...
Getting stronger?
I like big marshmallows, definitely.
Phyllis shouldn't blame herself. People have been running on
It's
about
not
her.
me, I tell you. It's not just me. Bobby said he'd meet us to go as far as Colfax Corner. You know, the little ones. You must hear it. You all hear it. You're laughing at me.
I don't want anything in mind, really. Just a
You
glass
know
of
the
cider.
truth. You're laughing at me.
Cool and wet.
Oh, a little
Getting louder. Getting louder. Make it stop. Make it stop. Make it stop! There! Look! In the cupboard! There he is! Stuffed in the cupboard! I shot him, and I'm glad! Listen to what I say! He tortured me for years, sorrowing, sighing, bleeding, dying. But now I stopped him. Stopped the yelling, the cursing, the whipping. But I can't stop the beat of his horrible heart!
And now we bring you Quoth the Raven Before Christmas, based on The Raven and a Visit from St. Mick. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Distinctly I remember, It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. The stocking were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. When, out on the lawn, there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Then, the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dreamed before. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mane and lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, when, what to my wondering eyes should appear, but a miniature sleigh, and a tiny reindeer, with a little driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. But wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know that I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work. He filled all the stocking, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. Then I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore."
You usually do your readings in the common room, don't you? Over there. In the chairs, right?
Oh, were you here last year? I don't remember you on the staff.
Oh, yes, I remember you clearly.
Oh, that's nice. It's nice to think the good I do makes an impression.
You sat over there, in the corner, with the patients all in front of you.
Yeah.
And you talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and I'm sorry. What was your name again?
Mary Cecilia.
Oh, that's right. Mary Cecilia. I'm Nurse Green. You can tell because it's on my badge.
That's true.
Why are you here again?
I come every Christmas Eve to read Herbie the Hand Towel and the True Meaning of Christmas.
Why?
Excuse me?
Why do you do that to them?
I do it for them because I think the patients like it. It's good for them. And it feels good to do the right thing.
Oh, listen to that wind. We didn't think anybody would come here tonight. Christmas, Eve and all, and the sun, the snow, falling already.
I did think twice before coming out.
Why didn't you stay home?
Well, I couldn't.
Why not?
I'd have to come and do my reading.
Did somebody ask you?
Well, no.
Do you like doing it?
It's not about whether I like it or not. When you're doing the right thing, it's not about enjoyment.
What if they don't want you to?
Of course they do.
How do you know?
Of course they do.
Did you ever ask?
Everybody loves Christmas stories.
Do you?
Yes, very much. That proves my point.
Well, you're not everybody. You might not even be you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ollin.
Oh, hello. I'm Mary Cecilia.
Yes, nice to finally meet you.
I'm pleased you're able to join us this year. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Not at all. As founder and head of the clinic, I seldom have time to enjoy our visitors.
Well, years, Doctor. I very much admire the work you and Professor Ivy do here.
Thank you. My work is full of surprises.
Will Professor Ivy be joining us?
Who?
Professor Ivy, your co-author in college?
No. Professor Ivy is tied up in his work at the moment.
Of course, I understand.
The good professor has such a strong sense of purpose, a strong sense of self. Many people don't possess that quality. Most of our patients, for example, have quite an elastic, even one might say an adhesive sense of self. They'll abandon their own identities in a moment and adopt another, a famous person, or someone they've seen on television, or even one of the staff.
How remarkable!
In fact, there are currently 3 poor wretches who will swear to heaven and earth that they're me.
Oh, really?
Just think how miserable they must be in their own identities if they want to take on such a poor thing as my identity.
Well, they're very sick. I'm
pity-
in trouble.
I pity them, I do.
But doesn't that create difficulties?
No. The thing to remember in dealing with these tragic souls is to be kind and gentle and not believe a word they say.
And that helps?
Yes. It's all a delusion of the most regrettable type. Fortunately, we're seeing wonderful results from our new technique of spinal enemas.
Shouldn't we bring patients for their treatment?
That's right. And just wait here, Mary, and we'll bring in your little lost lambs.
Not at all. Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, let's go. After you, nurse.
How unnerving it sounds. I shouldn't hold it against them. The whole situation is so unfortunate for these poor people. I mean, they really can't be blamed. They can't help themselves.
Hello?
Oh, are you here for the reading?
Listen to me.
Of course. Come in. The rest will be along soon, and we can get started.
No, get out of here.
Oh, I'll go soon. Don't worry. But not before we've had our story.
Not safe. You can't.
Oh, don't worry about anything. Now, what did you say your name was?
I'm Dr. Hawley.
Oh, of course you are.
I am.
Yeah, don't get excited.
Patients escaped. Most staff locked up. If they're still alive. What they've been doing to me.
You shouldn't say that. The Woods is a very nice facility, and nothing could...
See my hands?
Well, those bandages don't look exactly clean.
No more fingernails. And Nurse Green. They burned off her eyelids.
No, she was just here and...
That isn't Green. He isn't Holly. I'm not insane. You're in danger.
It's not true.
When they come back, they'll have a syringe. Don't let them. It could be a sedative. It could be poison. It could be from a bedpan.
Oh, that's not possible.
They're coming. Don't watch. I'm not here.
But...
Well, that didn't take long after all.
Where are the patients?
Who?
I'm ready for the reading, and the weather is...
The patients! Yes, where are the patients, nurse? Where are the patients?
Patients? Where are the patients
Where
now?
are they? Where are they now?
Where are they, Doctor?
Where are the patients? Where are the nurses? Where are the doctors?
Where are the orderlies? Where are the sitters? Where are the doctors?
That's enough! I'm leaving!
Oh, no. You can't go yet. We have something for you.
No, I'm sorry, but the weather
Nurse,
is too...
the syringe!
No! Keep that away from me.
No! Get off me! Get off me!
Run, Mary,
Nurse,
run!
Nurse, he's choking me, nurse!
Get up! Get up! Get up!
Open the door like this. Open the gate like this. Open the lock like this. Yes. Now outside. Down the steps. Through the snow. There's the party ended.
Start the engine!
Miss Mary, we want to hear all about the true meaning of Christmas.
Dr. Ollin and Professor Ollin, inspired by the system of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather. And in conclusion, we bring you The Mask of St. Nick, based on the Mask of the Red Death.
Now in the third week of the global pandemic, the death toll continues to rise.
Rhodotic necropathy spreads through physical contact. Its distinctive feature is the copious blood released from eye sockets, giving rise to such names as the Plague of Tears, Red Tears of Death, and the Weeping Dead.
Now in the fourth week of the global pandemic, 130 countries have declared a state of emergency.
Visionary billionaire Ellison Maxon has retreated to his luxurious mountaintop complex with his company's core staff.
Now in the fifth week of the global pandemic, international communications become sporadic.
Rhodotic necropathy has an 88.4% fatality rate. The death toll is catastrophic.
Now in the sixth week of the global pandemic, Europe, Russia, South America have all gone dark.
Maxon's high-tech compound is said to be self-supporting, as well as featuring the latest in paramilitary defense system. We now return you
to your seasonal programming.
In Maxon's outer office, he goes over plans for this Christmas party.
Apple, turn crud down.
Yes, Mr. Maxon.
Major thing to survive Armageddon would be not cockroaches, but Christmas music. Apple, check party. See who's here already. Let me know if anything's needed.
Yes, Mr. Maxon.
Apple goes through the outer sliding doors to the reception area.
Okay, Bill, go.
Perimeter valve reports, as of 5 minutes ago, valve 1 was fully operational again and secure. There appear to be about 30 sickies outside, but they're mainly quiet. Valve 2 shows no activity. Valve 3 had a small fire, but the automatics put it out. Valve 4 shows only a pair of sickies asleep, but they might be dead. Valve 5 is clear, with a crowd of about 20 sickies, but no problem.
And periodic shocks.
Electrifying the valves at a random pattern seems to be working. The sickies are staying off of them.
Good. Sickies can't break what they can't touch.
Maxon, about all those people on valve 4, been running some figures and we should let them in.
Can't do that, Ren.
They need our help.
Can't help, Ren. No, scratch that. Most help would be death, right, Bill?
Oh, it's faster than rhodotic necropathy.
Exactly.
That's not true. Life wants to live. The figures show our support systems are generating plenty of surplus. We have more than we need now and for the foreseeable future.
And who to thank for that?
You, of course.
Of course.
Right?
Thanks very much.
So it would be perfectly possible to...
Doesn't matter how much surplus there is, can't let sickies in, Ren.
We can keep them isolated in Compound 5. They'd be at least safe and fed till they pass quarantine. It's the right thing to do.
Financial manager, Ren, not conscience.
Sometimes financial managers have both.
Not this time. Not when there's worldwide pandemic, obliterating society, not after devoting last 10 years of life to creating sanctuary with self-contained technology, security, hydroponics, after sharing refuge with the whole world collapsing into darkness. Didn't have to do that, Ren. But did. Because wanted to and did. That means no lecture on morality.
Mr. Maxon, the party has started. Research Team 5 is here, and the other teams are on their way. Nothing more is needed at this time.
Great. Good news.
You should probably shower and dress. You are the host.
Right. Is that good example of Christmas cheer.
Your suit is laid out on the bed, Mr. Maxon. Your cufflinks are on the desk.
Perfect. Be right back.
Thanks for nothing.
You wouldn't go for it. There's no point.
No help from you.
Oh, what happened?
The bullet's faster than rhodonic necropathy.
Well, it is.
Just because something is correct doesn't make it right.
You tried to make him open valve 4?
He's not going to do it.
Face facts.
It's inhuman.
Well, that's Maxon for you.
Ask yourself how fully human was Maxon even before all of this.
He's a missionary.
Yeah, which does not have anything to do with whether he is a fully rounded person. In fact, it rather argues against it.
Even a visionary can see a simple moral truth.
No, that is probably exactly what he cannot see. His mind thrives on complexity. It is probably, technically, an addiction.
Why did he hire a psych student as a personal assistant?
Well, a person who obeys you can get what you want. A person who understands you can get what you need.
If you understand correctly.
No system is perfect if it involves people.
What if we open the valves ourselves?
All the valves are on executive lockdown.
Maxon is the only one with the codes.
Well, you could get them from him.
No, because that is not what you truly desire. What you truly desire is to save the entire world, and that is not possible.
On the radio, late at night, they say there are other compounds out there.
Statistically, certainly there probably are.
Well, some of them open their doors. They're saving people.
And some are completely dead.
And most of them are probably frightened and waiting, exactly like we are.
But we can do more than wait. We can help people.
No, we can't.
Merry Christmas. Look at new suit.
Nice one.
Thanks.
Very fancy.
Mr. Maxon, you look great.
Sure.
What's wrong, Ren? Lump of coal and stocking?
Ren wants to open the valves.
What?
He's probably right.
We've been talking about it, and
We can help people. We can save lives.
No.
We have the technology because you gave it to us. Your protocols kept us safe, and they could really help others. You're probably working on cracking rhodonic necropathy right now. You'll tear it apart in no time.
No.
What?
There's no cure.
Well, not yet, but...
Never.
What do you mean?
It should be called Maxon's disease, or Maxon death, or Maxonic necropathy.
You're saying you made it?
Yes.
oh boy.
Why did you?
Spent whole life making perfect things, perfect fuel cell, perfect frictionless surface, perfect water cleaning algae. So, perfect death. Disease unstoppable, incurable, untraceable, no prejudice for race, creed, gender, no respecter of poverty or death. Humanity's great leveler.
And then you let it out.
Yes? No? Don't know how it got out. Don't know how it gets in. maybe like Ren said, life wants to live.
At that moment, the outer doors opened and the party spilled in around us.
Oh, good. Smiling and cheering, of course, all saved. Every single one could be dead now. Otherwise, that's right. Cheer, cheer.
Maxon's smiling, shaking hands. Everybody's looking at him kind of like a hero, like a god. The party's going full blast.
Another Maxon triumph. It's perfect. Apple thinks of everything. Music, drinks, party hats, even a guy in a Santa suit.
I don't have a Santa suit. I didn't get a Santa suit. There isn't one in the compound, or a mask for that matter.
There's old St. Nick. Better go share love on special night. Come here, Santa. Give me a hug. Oh, Santa grabs tight. Oh,
Maxon's struggling. Something's wrong. Somebody help him.
let me go. I created you. I'll control you.
Santa's mask, the eyes, it's bleeding from the eyes.
Everybody's screaming. Get away! Get away! It's too late!
Santa's shaking, spraying blood everywhere. It covers Maxon's face, covers the crowd.
The Red Death!
Ho, ho, ho.
includes Chris Porter, James Dineen, Pat Blem, Robin Woolman, and Curt Hanson. Foley by David Ian and Dino DeAElfweald. Live sound by Martin John Gallagher. Music by KJ McElroy. Production manager Atticus Wells Mowry. All plays were written by William S. Gregory. Cynthia J. McGee and our dramaturgs. I'm Sam A. Mowry. I'm the producer of the workshop. And we remain, as always, obediently yours. See you next Halloween.